pretty, isn't it? Boats riding easy under a warm, late-season sun. Pretty enough for calendars done with. Things are kind of in the village streets, too. Oh, the kids are probably at school. All in all, it must have been a good tourist. Clarissa still got her dusting to do, even though the rush is over. We'll be dropping in just the same the year round. And on the farm, it's hay storing time. Time to get in all the winter supplies. The warm sun doesn't fool Tom. Corn's got to be shucked, too, and there's only one way to get it done. That's to do it. Of course, it's not too bad doing it in the sun. When the week's work is over with, the person gives thanks to the Maker for all his many work. One autumn in New England's Pine State. Life seemed pretty good to most Maine folk. Well, sir, that same warm sun beat down on the woods and forests bordering the towns. And the trees, bushes, and the grass already had that dried-out look about it. But it was mighty pretty just the same, with the sun shining through the gold and a nippy breeze now and then making them tumble down to the ground. Of course, you get a long dry spell in a sun, and the woods do dry out harder and faster than is natural. When you've got woods as dry as this, well, it's no time to be careless with fire. That's just common sense, I'd say. And yet, someone was careless. And going off and leaving a brush pile burning isn't being careful exactly. It seems that the careless ones had plenty of company. You toss a cigarette down in the dry fall woods, it'll all right. That's all it takes to make fire. A little spark, some dry stuff, and the open air. Well, sir, there were these little fires starting up here and there. Not much to begin with, not too serious. A bucket of water would have fixed every one of them to start with. Of course, there were lots of dry grass and leaves to feed on. And yet I believe a couple of good men with the right tools could have put that little fire out. Getting bigger, isn't she? Just the same, I think a good crew of forest firefighters could still lick this fire. But the wind, that wind's certainly building up.
Then it happened. The wind built up in fury. The flames speeded along their fiery path, forward and upward. Smoke masked the face of the warm sun. This was no longer a simple little fire. This was the beginning of a flaming giant. There's no doubt about it. The forest was ripe for destruction. Fire reaped the harvest. It was too late now for buckets of water and small crews of firefighters. With the wind strong behind it, the fire roared through the tinder-dry forest. But the men rallied round and did their level best to check the fire's terrible spread. There was little hope at all. People had to flee from their homes in the face of the onrushing flames. Not only individual homes to be evacuated. There was time to take out the most cherished belongings. Field communications, this helped to bridge the heroic work of the fire crews and to keep an anxious nation posted.
And here is the latest roundup of conditions in the fire areas. East Waterboro, 3/4 of the town has been wiped out. Brownfield, East Brownfield Center, a blackened waste. 250 buildings have been destroyed. West Kennebunk, flames have reached within 3/4 of a mile of the town. Evacuation is now taking place. Here's a special item. The President today proclaimed the Maine fires a national disaster. Conditions have taken a turn for the worse. All sectors indicate the need for more firefighters, more equipment, and...
Back in the larger towns and cities behind the flaming forest, the Red Cross and other relief agencies were already at work. Equipment and supplies were quickly rounded up. These were dispatched to the fire lines, along with more and more firefighters. Help came, too, from many points outside the state. Shoulder to shoulder, hundreds of men fought the flames. Fires continued to roll on and on. Here was swift disaster. Terribly real, awful, frightening. Nothing apparently was immune from the fire. Almost everything that lay in the widening path of flame soon came to feel the searing heat. And if it was built, it burned. The business, barns and homes. Nothing lost in the fire's ravenous appetite. Here and there in the forest towns, even the lumber yards suffered complete destruction. By now, the various fires had spread across thousands of acres, and with forceful winds behind them were still going strong. But men still fought on, and then, 11 days after the fires first ran wild, firefighters stopped the advance of the flames. A forest fire is no respecter of human rights, property, or emotion. 2 days later, the blessed rains came, but for 200,000 acres of forest land, the damage had been done. More than trees burned here. The birds, deer, and other wildlife are gone. Precious topsoil has been destroyed. There'll be erosion before the forest is restored. And for many communities and many people, the damage had been done. Piles of rubble now mark the spot where once palatial homes looked out to sea. They also serve to mark the crippled livelihoods of many local citizens and merchants. Even more tragic was the plight of 2,500 homeless individuals who had to start rebuilding anew, not only their homes, but their lives as well. They lost everything. In some parts of the state, devastation was widespread to pay for carelessness. That's why it's up to every American, man, woman, and child, to strike back at fire. We can prevent this sort of thing if we prevent the start of forest fires. If each one of us, individually, is careful always. At the same time, we must maintain everywhere well-trained forest fire control organizations, including expert leaders, skilled forest fire fighters, up-to-date equipment, to control forest fires wherever and whenever they do start. It happened in Maine. Don't let it happen here.